What is up, Planeswalkers? 36 back with some more Magic the Gathering Arena. Be sure to go to flipsidegaming.com and use promo code 6 for 10% off on orders over $10. It's a good deal and it helps support the channel. Now today, the webcam is still here. I did make it a little bit smaller, just so it's a little bit less obtrusive. And I do plan on at some point getting an actual like beginning screen going, like transitioned into the thing, but that's a whole lot of back nonsense. But today we are going and playing Orzhov Ascendancy. Now this was essentially a request by my newest patron, Croft. He is joining the Air Force, and regardless of what you think about the military, I think it's really cool when people actively choose to go into that line of work, because it's something that I know that I couldn't do myself. So we are today playing his request, but this is something that I've been meaning to play, and that is Simic Ascendancy. Now this specific version takes advantage a lot of Galloping Lizrog just because of the amount of burst counters that you're able to get and use on Simic Ascendancy. Now really obviously, you can see that this is really similar to the Simic upgraded deck that I did play, I think it was 2-ish weeks ago at this point, but it is different in that it usually just tries to win with Ascendancy as opposed to various like tempo-oriented attacks and things like that. So we are running 4 Llanowar Elves. This is not the right one. I do apologize for that. And the reason we're running 4 Llanowar Elves is because we want to make sure we have all the extra mana that we can to do our dumb tricks. We have, of course, 4 Incubation Druids as well, because this is a fantastic card to ramp us, as well as have that nice adapt to be able to use with Ascendancy, but also because Hadana's Climb, if we play this out on turn 3, is going to be able to ramp us a lot more, because then we don't have to pay 5 for Druid. We can just get that mana from Hadana's Climb, essentially. We're playing 4 Growth Chamber Guardians because it's just like the pinnacle of value, and the fact that it works with the rest of our deck is really nice. 4 Titanic Brawl as our removal choice. Now, blue-green doesn't have a lot of removal. You could, of course, play the hybrid colored cards, which you have to do that for some reason, like Incubation and Congruity. This is something that you can do, but it's not something I'm playing. I decided to just go with Titanic Brawl because the majority of my creatures are going to be relatively large. But I didn't really want to play any of the other removal that we have access to in Simic, which is not a lot. Of course, the namesake of the deck, or at least half of it, is Simic Ascendancy. This is a alternate win condition, and yes, in practice, I'm in gold now from just playing with this deck, but I think I won with this card 2 or 3 times. So it is an effective card, and it allows you to put an additional 1/1 counter on a creature you control. Who cares? That's usually not very helpful. It is helpful in specific circumstances, specifically with Sharktocrab, but for the most part, not really what you need. But what's really important is that whenever 1 or more counters, 1/1 counters, are placed on a creature you control, put that many, not just 1, that many counters on Simic Ascendancy. And if you have 20 during your upkeep, at the beginning of your upkeep, you win the game. So if you have, let's see, since Galloping Lizrog doubles, if you play a Simic Ascendancy and you have no other counters on it, if you're able to just eat 10 counters from Galloping Lizrog, which is not impossible, but for the most part, Simic Ascendancy is going to have some counters on it, you immediately win next turn if your opponent cannot remove Simic Ascendancy. It unfortunately doesn't have hexproof and things like that, so it can die to enchant removal, and there's a decent-ish amount of enchant removal going around. But if they are using their removal on this, if it's like a dual-purpose removal like Mortify, instead of something else that we have, then that's okay, because we still are going to have something like a giant Lizrog or an insane board of... Oops. of Biogenic Ooze, so... We are, of course, running 3 Hydroid Krasis because you can't really play a Simic deck right now without playing Hydroid Krasis. And honestly, for the most part, we're playing this because it's a modular X spell that just helps us, get those last few points on Simic Ascendancy. But also just because it's a way to gain life. And sometimes against super aggressive decks, you just need a way to gain life to stall them out a little bit more so you can keep that board growing to outpace theirs. So Hadana's Climb is a 2-of in this deck, and the reason it's a 2-of is because it's legendary, but it's a really nice, cool thing that we're going to be able to use with something like Sharktocrab, with our Incubation Druids, Growth Chamber Guardians, plenty of cards in our deck, really like playing with Hadana's Climb, and it acts as kind of dual-purpose ramp if you consider it with Incubation Druid. So you can go ahead and put this on late on Incubation Druid that's already adapted, and then you immediately get to flip it. Or you can go ahead and build these up over time with Incubation Druid and have that like dual-purpose that immediate benefit, that mana benefit that you get from Druid, and that kind of delayed benefit you get from Hadana's Climb, if that's the only creature you really want to be putting counters on. That said, if you have the mana bonus from Incubation, you're probably going to be able to play other creatures. But the real wacky thing with this is that when it turns into a land, your Galloping Lizrog is almost always going to be lethal because of the fact that it has trample innately. Giving it flying as evasion is something that is going to make many decks just not be able to block it at all. and it's going to be large. So large squared is real large. Galloping Lizrog turns into a big chungus with Hadana's Climb out. Sharktocrab is a 2-of because even though Sharktocrab is really helpful at stalling out the board, I wanted to be able to not have too much of a glut around the 4 and 5 slot, because I knew I wanted to play maximum copies of Galloping Lizrog and a decent number of copies of the Ooze. So we're only playing 2 of these. You can totally add in more if you want to. But the real benefit of this card is being able to just tap your opponent's most worrying threat down turn after turn, thanks to something like Hadana's Climb, or being able to just, you know, adapt it after a few turns or whatever. So it's very, very helpful. Zegana is just also another 2-of. It's a legendary, but her main purpose is to give us an alternate win condition to Galloping Lizrog. Since our Oozes don't innately have trample, being able to finally get them trample off of Zegana is really nice, and she does cycle herself, right? She draws a card if you have a creature with a 1/1 counter on it, which is going to be most of the time. We, of course, are running 1 Helm of the Host because, like, how can you not? If you have Galloping Lizrogs out, then the tokens will come in with double of what the Galloping Lizrog already doubled, and then the next one will be doubled that. So it grows like exponentially, and it's real awesome. I haven't been able to get it off yet, and that's because we're only playing 1-of, so you're not very likely to actually see the card. But I thought I should run it in the deck because it's fun, it's cool, and I haven't played enough, in my opinion, with Helm of the Host. And then last but not least, the cards that we've been talking about kind of throughout this entire thing is 3 Biogenic Ooze and 4 Galloping Lizrogs. Now, I've said a bit already about Galloping Lizrog, but the ability to reset your adapt creatures if you want to reuse them, and just burst up your Simic Ascendancies is top-notch, and it just becomes a really large threat really easily. If you consider the fact that if you eat just 3 +1/+1 counters, that turns into 6, and you now have a 9/9 Trampler for 5. And that's not hard to do, right? 3, that's an Incubation Druid, a Growth Guardian, and maybe like a Sharktocrab, or like a Hydroid Krasis that you had to play early on for like 2 in order to make sure that you like lived or drew another land or something like that. So it's really easy to just make this card a decent size. So imagine then when you make this card a giant size, a real beefy boy that you can yeet at your opponents. So Lizrog is dope. And then, of course, Biogenic Ooze works so insanely well with Simic Ascendancy because at a certain point, you can just stop casting creatures, and then just every turn before your end step, make as many Oozes as you can, and that number of Oozes will trigger that number of Simic Ascendancies, and you're just going to get a stupid speed on your Ascendancy. So it's a really awesome card, and it does scale relatively well into the game. Now, we are running 23 lands. I was initially running 24. I'm still not super decided on it. I won some games with 23 and some games with 24, and lost, I think, 1 game with 23 and 1 game with 24. So it is something to consider if you do find yourself maybe not having enough mana at certain times. Feel free to bump that up to 24, but this is just a really basic type thing. And of course, at the end, we are going to go over the sideboard. But for now, let's hop into ranked. And as you can see, I am gold. I kind of wish this was not like obscured up there, but still. Yeah, I did win plenty of games with this deck, and it is a blast. It's an absolute blast. By the way, I'm drinking lemonade because I do love some tart fruit. We're going first, and we don't have a very good hand. And the reason we don't have a very good hand is because these are all our late game cards. The unfortunate thing is we do have like lands, and our number of 2-drops in the deck is really, really high. So I think it's fine to just keep this. If I really have to, I can go ahead and Hydroid Krasis on like turn 4 if I really need something to do. But opponent did mulligan down to 6. They did keep it on top. I'm assuming it's actually going to be, yeah, I was going to say I'm assuming this is going to be like a black deck of some sort. Don't ask me why. That was just something I was like, my gut feeling. Alright, that's fine. I mean, they're not doing anything either, so I'm not too worried. So I'll likely just end up casting Biogenic Ooze on turn 5. And then Lizrog on 6, honestly. Oh, okay. So yeah, I can play Ascendancy here. Cool. And I will pass. Yeah, so next turn, Biogenic Ooze is awesome, and then I can Galloping Lizrog the following turn if I really want to. Oh, they're stuck on land, so that is unfortunate for them. But I'm just going to take advantage of it, play this. I will get... I still hate that sound so much. I'll get 2s. Not 2 Oozes, 2s. Well, count it. And another one gone, and another one down, another one by dust. Ah. I think the only concession I've had during practice with this deck was when I counted that as a Simic Ascendancy win because I was going to, on my upkeep, win. I'm going to talk about this player's name in a second. On upkeep, I was going to win, but my opponent was just like, now concede. So, but yeah, Robo Crutch. Not sure that's the best. I'm going to keep this hand because we do have Incubation Druid into Hadana's Climb, regardless of whether or not we get an additional land. Ooh, that's a big oof from me. I did win against a gate deck, but that was only because I went first and I ramped like a mofo. I was able to turn 1 Llanowar Elves into like turn 2 Incubation Druid into turn 3 something actually stupid. So here what I'm going to do is I really don't want to play too much into a Burny Gates Blaze. So we can go ahead and do this, and now I can immediately, not going to attack, I can immediately just play this, and that's not too much of a commitment, right? So we're going to end turn, and next turn, honestly, I might just play Helm of the Host. Excuse me, for shenanigans' sake, right? Because Helm of the Host means that I won't need to actively add any more to my board. Ascendancy. Well, can I do both? I can do both. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to equip as well anyway, so I will do this. I will do this. And I will go ahead and Hadana's Climb onto the Growth Chamber Guardian. Technically, I could have added to the Incubation Druid just so Hadana's Climb flips earlier. But this is the route I went. And actually, thinking about it, I probably should have did the other way. Yeah, especially when my opponent has a Gates of Blaze. Okay, they have Circuitous Roots. So they're going to play Gates of Blaze, and I'm going to lose, I think. It's super unfortunate, but thems are the breaks against a control deck where you did not have an aggressive start. Biogenic Ooze. I'd love to play the Ooze, but I don't think it is correct. I could just play Krasis for 4. I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go and play Krasis for 4. +5, -1. So I'll draw 2, gain 2 life, which is nice. I did get a land, which is also nice. So I can go ahead and play this out. This will flip. So I'm going to go ahead and put it on my Krasis. Krasis still dies to a Gates of Blaze, which is unfortunate. But if they play a Gates of Blaze, what I'm able to do is Titanic Brawl in response to it so that their Gatebreaker Ram dies as well. So I will go ahead and just end the turn here. No reason to play out the Growth Chamber Guardian that I have, because very likely that my opponent is just going to kill my stuff. I did at one point have Wilderness Reclamation in the main deck, but I found that it just wasn't as good since we didn't have as many adapt cards in the deck. Mass Manipulation, you say? So what I'm going to do... I didn't expect that at all. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and Titanic Brawl this, just so he pretty much can't attack in, like, reasonably. The stealing of my Incubation Druid is pretty harsh, but it's okay. Should not attack. I want you to... I take that trade every day. I take that trade every day. Llanowar Elves. I think I do just like Biogenic Ooze. I have to kind of hope for the best that my opponent doesn't have a Gates of Blaze, but I feel like instead of playing Mass Manipulation, they would have just played it there. Knowing that they play Mass Manipulation, though, makes me like worried that they'll have more for my Ooze. So... You alright, Incubation Druid? You cool? But if it lives... Helm of the Host is real cool, but it looks like no, they have another Mass Manipulation. I'm not annoyed that they had another Mass Manipulation. I'm annoyed that they had another, they had their second Mass Manipulation in the top 15 cards. I mean, luckily this means I can kind of just, like, dump things onto the board. Because if they Gates Ablaze, like, their own stuff dies, but... Now I'm gonna have to, like, start blocking and losing my creatures anyway. Ugh. Yeah, this was just, like, bad breaks. It's, like, actual bad breaks. Damn. I was thinking about opening this video with the Isaac of Isaac re-Isaac. So it would have been like, what's up, Isaac? Isaac here, back with more Isaac. So I could like quadruple block to kill this, but I think I would rather just chump it, go down to 5, because honestly, there's not much I can do if I don't start just getting extra value in things. Man, that double mass manipulation, actual nonsense. All right, we're gonna go and do this. Pretty sure I am just dead. No, I guess not, because I can block. No, all right, I guess not. Luckily, this sticks around. Jeez, all right. Stop doing that. You weird game. You absolutely weird game. God dang it, that's so creepy. It's disorienting. Man, oh wow, lava coil. I don't know if you guys can tell, but I'm frustrated. They had like 2 of the best... Like, a Gates of Blaze would have been fine, because they at least wouldn't have my cards to kill me with. Hydroid Krasis, cool. What can I do that for? I can do that for 4. And I still die, right? Because I go to 4, I block this, and I'm dead. Cool. That's... Ascendancy would have gone up to 12. But Gates of Blaze would have been better to encounter there. The fact that they just had the double was so dumb. I mean, some people might say I should have played around a second one, but the odds of them having 2 out of my... I assume that they only run 3 in the deck. Right? There's like no reason to run more than that. Is just... Like, that's not something you play around. I would have accepted a Gates of Blaze, right? Like, that's the thing, is that a Gates of Blaze would have hurt my board, but it wouldn't have started killing me. White, this could be mono white, but not having a 1-drop is a bit bad for them, isn't it? Oh, okay, it's the Lifegain version, so less of an issue, kind of. I will go ahead and play both of these, just ramp like I've never ramped before. And I can get a decent-sized Hydroid Krasis, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I can get a 4/4 Krasis down on turn 3? Yeah. That might not be too bad. No blocks, that's fine. Unless you bugler? Sure. Okay, so this is maybe just like mono white dudes and things. Might actually better to adapt the Incubation Druid now, so we can get an even better Krasis next turn. I think that's what I'm gonna do. Because I can even play another Incubation Druid. Did lose out on a mana there, but being able to go, what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 7. So if we draw land, we can go for 8, right? That's actually, like, insane. Yeah, sure, I'll take 4. Come on, lands. All right, not a lands. Ooh, but I like that Ascendancy, though. I might be being too greedy. But for what it's worth, actually, I can adapt this. Don't like that it did it like that, but sure, it's fine. Yeah, no, I actively hate that it did it like that. Dang it. How did I not see that? Darn. Would that have changed anything? 1, 2... No, I guess not. It still would have been a strange number. I don't want to actually play this out because it would cost me that mana. So I think I'm just going to pass. And I can Simic Ascendancy at instant speed. So if my opponent still decides to attack with a bunch of things, don't know why he would, then I can kill things. But Alice Marshall is unfortunate. But I can still kill Johnny's Pridemate if they decide to attack. And I assume they're not going to. Thanks for the kill. Alright. I'm fine with that. Yep, those are going to get a little big. Alright, what can I do this for? 3, 6, 8, 9, 10. Heck yeah. Alright, I have to double count because I want to make sure. 3, 6, 8, 10. Okay. 5, 5, 10. Oh, look at all that. Up to 11. Next turn, my Hydroid Krasis will put that up to more than 20. So as long as we can survive, that's a little scary, but not that much, because we have a freaking 10-10.
I am proud to fight by your side.
I am proud to fight by your side.
Strength is born of struggle.
You can get a little bit of damage in, or you can just not. This has trample. Trample. Show me what you got. Nothing? Damn right. Once again, we're just going to Hydroid Krasis for good old-fashioned 10. Delicious. Actually delicious. We're going to go ahead and... Do we even attack? Honestly, no. I want to get the Simic Ascendancy win. Attacking is for losers. End turn. 1, 2, 3, 4. Get out of my face. And if nonsense were to occur, I have a Titanic Brawl. Dude, pass the turn so I can Ascendancy win. No! No! No, 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 you will die. Fine. Fine. You just made it so you have to die a normal death. It hurts. It really hurts. Sure. My opponent doesn't know. And what they don't know will hurt them. Alright then. Sure, yeah. Have fun with it. You are not a threat to me. You cannot kill me right now. You are tapped out. I'm not even gonna Titanic Brawl for the memes. I win. The winner takes all. That's the thrill of one more kill. The last one to fall. Won't have to sacrifice their will. I won with Simic Ascendancy. I'm so glad that I was able to actually show that. Hey, it's Nico Bolas. Let's go bowling. This hand is okay. We cannot produce green, but we do get to ramp. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, and we're going second. Now, this hand's fine. He says, what? Okay, maybe this is not as good. Drawing the second Ascendancy, not great. We're going up against Jeskai. We're going up against Jeskai control. This was inevitable. This was bound to happen. Everything's bad. Ooh, we got the blue though. I feel like I should play around Quench. Whatever. And instead of playing Hadana's Climb, play an Ascendancy. Cool. Do I attack? No. I don't want to run into a Seal Away on my mana dork. What are you buying, punk? You've got to ask yourself, am I playing more good spells? Or just one? Well, punk, do you feel lucky? We'll Hadana's Climb first to play around the Quelch, even though this is probably going to get countered. It also plays around Spell Pierce. I can't believe you've done this. Gonna play another Ascendancy. We're probably gonna lose this match because our opponent's just playing counter spells. I mean, I guess I can Lizrog next turn, even though it doesn't really do much. I guess I guess end of turn I can just double counter on Llanowar Elves. Sure, let's do that. Let's do that. That might actually just be a better play. If my opponent doesn't want me to cast spells, I won't. Uh-oh. Raro raggy. Alright, let's make this big. Now let's do it again. Okay. So I can play this for 5. And I can take 2 of these things. and it would get 4, so it would become a 7/7. Then I could Titanic Brawl and kill it. Yes. Yes. I am going to... Oh, then he can kill my Llanowar Elf. You know what? I'm going to take 2 life here for the pump fake. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I'd still have that. Yes. I'm gonna do this and attack. Because I might not need to actually cast anything. Because I can double pump. Okay, cool. So that's what they figured out. I'm going to go ahead and play the Lizrog. My opponent is probably going to kill my elf, but at this point I don't need it. I have a dank Lizrog. Those get larger. Play this. Died Nith Mizzet. They do have 4 cards, and I have none. Right, so this... If my opponent has, like, another Niv Mizzet, for example, or just a way to kill my Lizrog and just have counterspells up, then it's going to be hard. Okay, so they did Binding my Lizrog, which is not good. But hopefully... Alright, Sharktocrab, let's see if this resolves. Survey says... Alright, well, we're just going to be sitting here twiddling our thumbs for a bit. Cool, Sphinx Insight, great. Oh, real happy for you. Alright, Incubation Druid. Survey says... Not on the board, sorry about that. They of course have had 3 of their 4 Essence Scatters in the top 20. Top, like 18 actually, but whatever. You won't have counterspells forever, he says, knowing that that's not true. Yeah. No reason to cast it just now, I guess. I'm waiting for the Teferi. Oh, I can't even cast the other Lizrog. All right. I don't need another Ascendancy. I need a creature. I'm just gonna pass turn again. If I play the Ascendancy, then my opponent could Cleansing Nova away my enchantments. Like I would get my Lizrog back, but it'd only be a 3/3. So I don't think it's worth playing out the other Ascendancy for that reason. But pretty sure we've kind of just lost the game. My opponent had 3 of their dope counterspells. I was able to kill Niv Mizzet. So if nothing else, that's a minor victory for me. Oh, good. No, that's fine. Oh, and you're holding up counterspells because he thinks I have a counterspell. No, I don't have a counterspell because wait a minute. One goddamn minute. This Chandra MF over here. Their username is Nico Bolas, and they're playing Jeskai control? Excuse me? What kind of fake ass person claims to be on the side of Nico Bolas and doesn't play Grixis control? Miss me with that. You can yeet yourself off a bridge right there, my friend. How dare you disrespect Nico Bolas like that? Rude. Incredibly rude. Also, I didn't want to waste time in that game. I want to move on to the next one. Wait. There's like Robot Crotch, now there's Robot Cannoli? What? Is this some sort of weird robot conspiracy? I have to mulligan this, I have no green sources. Oh, F you. I'll keep it. Oh, okay, cool. Sounds good to me. Growth Chamber Guardian's a very helpful card. Hello. I will say hello once. I don't think this is a Gates deck, because they don't usually play black, right? I don't think so. But for any viewers who are watching and you end up playing against me during the time I'm recording, if you say hello once, I'll say hello back. Don't spam emote though, because I am what I like to call a dumb person. Let us go ahead and attack with both. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. I guess I don't really need to attack with both. Yeah, I'll just attack with both. Am I fine with my Llanowar Elf dying at this point? Nah, I might need her just to boost out a Hydroid Krasis. That's a little bit larger. I'm still going to go ahead and do this. No real reason not to. Let's get another one out. And I'll pass the turn. I don't know why it shows the spells that you have in your hand as being forced to cost more when you, like, can't even actually cast things. Like, I can't. No, I'm fine with that. Yeah, that's the good shit right there. And this will flip, so I'll have another land, and I can play a second Growth Chamber Guardian without having to... Yep, I don't even need to have this deal damage to me. I'm going to go ahead and put that one right there, flip this, take action, take this, take that, attack in with my 5/5, putting my opponent down to a nice healthy 10. And then next turn, I can Krasis for 4, gaining 2 life and drawing 2 cards. And then I can go ahead and play a Guardian. Yes. Cool. Fantastic. We're in a good spot. Good spot. Opponent seeming to play Orzhov Aristocrats, or Orzhovocrats, as I like to call them. Correctly choosing not to actually attack in. Ooh, the fact that we got a nice... Another Hydroid Krasis means that we can chain these boys for miles. Alright, let us go ahead and pay... It's 4, right? Yeah. Pay 4 for this. +5, -1. Thank you very much. We can Simic Ascendancy. Well, not this turn, but eventually. And I absolutely still attack for 5. Or do I attack for 2? I think I actually... Nah, I'm fine. I have a 4/4, so I'm not really worried about a block here. Llanowar Elf at any time can be sacked. Mortify, totally fine with me. That's mortifying with me. Oh man, I've lost my mind. There are corpses in the back of this. I was trying to see if I touch anything. So I was trying to tab to my recording to see like a better view of this. But we'll go ahead and Ascendancy here, and then I could just play. Oh, they're playing Mortify, so they could blow that up. Thank you very much. I think instead I'd rather just like use this at end of turn. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. Do I want to play this out? Not really. I do want to attack in with Hydroid Krasis. I guess I should have technically attacked in first because they might have mortified that instead of my Simic Ascendancy. But yeah, I think what I'm gonna do is end of their. Ooh, no, I am not. No, I am not. I'm gonna do this now. Why would you ever mortify that? Why would you not just take down the Ascendancy? Alright, I mean, sure. I guess they have another one? I don't know. But yeah, the reason I had to do that on my turn is this does affect activated abilities as well, so. Alright, well my opponent's dead. Well, I got to win with 2 different versions, 2 different aspects of the deck. I do wish I was able to pull off a really huge Lizrog or something, but you know, you were able to see a bunch of different things, so that's nice. Feel free to, yes, good game, good game. Now we'll go ahead and activate this. Boop. Make this go high in the air, and I will say goodbye to my opponent. And yes, I know technically I could have Simic Ascendancy to make it a 10/10 instead, but. Who needs all of that nonsense? I am satisfied with that deck showing. Yeah, no, I'm quite satisfied. I'm going to go and buy some packs. Let us get a Guild of Ravnica. Let's get an M19. And lastly, let's get a Dom pack. So I will open these, and then I will talk about the sideboard cards. The cards that I either chose not to play for whatever reason, or cards that I did play, took them out. Cards that maybe I just think are good sideboard cards. So, Mythic Rare, always love to see those. It's also a Mythic? Oh, no. It had like a weird orange glow. Maybe they always do? No, that one's more gold. I don't know. All right, let's roll over into the decks. Look at Lizrog Ascendancy. Let us go back to this view and look at the sideboard. So, these are some cards that I thought about playing, or I thought about being good sideboard cards. So Pelt Collector is another really great one-drop, and it works fantastically with a lot of the cards in the deck. If you do end up running Pelt Collector, I do think that it would be better for you if you added in the Explore package. I think that it grows Pelt Collector more consistently, but you know, this works really well with Hadana's Climb. It works really well with the Titanic Brawl and things like that. So Pelt Collector is just a decent card. It's just something that's a little bit more aggressive, and I was trying to do a little bit more meme combo style deck, so that's why I didn't go with it. Incubation Incongruity, this is a card I kind of talked about already. It is nice that Incongruity can just exile a creature, but the Incubation, it doesn't always work great because of the fact that, like, let's go back over here. The main reason for it, even though we run a lot of creatures, getting a single individual creature isn't always what we want to be doing. We want to try and just have all of our cards be, you know, worth something. And for what it's worth, Incubation Incongruity does do that because it does have the Incongruity portion. But it's just a card that in play, and I did play with this for a bit. I never liked either situation because them still getting a 3/3, it's like, it's whatever. Essence Capture. It works with the deck. You know, it's a counterspell that does work with the deck. It puts a +1/+1 counter on one of your creatures. That's it. I would say that this is better in a sideboard than it would be in the main deck, but it is a card that you should consider. We, of course, have the... Can't really talk about green if you don't talk about the Explore package. So you do have the Explore package here, and of course it works well with the rest of the deck because most of the time these things are going to be getting 1/1 counters on them. Wildgrowth Walker is really nice to stall against more aggressive decks, and the actual Explore creatures do a good job of presenting threats to your opponents, to your control opponents especially, as well as give you some nice card filtering against your control opponent. So it's something that you can do. I didn't want to put that into the deck knowing that it's played so often in other decks, and knowing especially that the other decks that I plan on playing in the future are going to show those pretty regularly. So that's why. Biomancer's Familiar, as I said, there aren't nearly as many activated abilities in this deck because we're not running as many adapt cards as we did in the updated adapt deck, but it is something that you still can use. I do think that there's a bit of a glut at 2, so there's not really a ton of room for it, but if you already have this, you can feel free to put it in. Growth Spiral. I want to be a little bit more proactive in this deck. I want to be playing things like on curve always. So I found that Growth Spiral just led to weird situations where I'd want to be holding things up. Now, of course, it does work well when you're in a situation where you have the ability to, you know, put a counter on something with the actual Ascendancy, where you can maybe make another Ooze token and things like that. But in all of those situations, I've always found that it's better for me to just play those than it is to play Growth Spiral. So that's why I didn't include that. Wilderness Reclamation, as I said a little bit earlier, it was in the deck initially. I just didn't have very many things to do with it, and it was better for me to just put in more of those cards that I wanted to play anyway. Frilled Mystic, very similar to Growth Spiral, is I didn't like holding up a bunch of mana in the early game where I'd want to use a Frilled Mystic, and in the late game, I usually was just using my mana for like adapting things or making another Ooze or something like that. For what it's worth, this is a card that is better than Growth Spiral because once you have that mana, you can actually still do something. Like, Frilled Mystic does still work really well, but I just found that it was better for me to have the more proactive cards than the reactive cards. But if you're on the different side of that, absolutely, Frilled Mystic is good in this deck because of the ability to hold up mana for adapting or something like that and having access to Frilled Mystic. It also, for what it's worth, makes it less likely that your opponent thinks that you have Frilled Mystic, right? Like, so if you're holding up like green, blue open, they're probably going to think Frilled Mystic. But if then you're holding up like green, blue, but one of those blues can also tap for green, and you have an Ooze out, they're probably just thinking, oh, okay, at the end of turn he's going to Ooze. And at the end of the turn, if they haven't cast anything and you want to counter, you can go ahead and make an Ooze token. And that will fortify, it will bolster the idea in your opponent's hand that you're not playing Frilled Mystic, you just want to do that at the last minute possible. So then, they'll play a card, and you'll counter Frilled Mystic. So, it is nice, I just didn't have the room for it. Rampaging Monument was something that that was talked about going into this deck, because it does come in immediately with 3 1/1 counters on it, and then you can, like, add more 1/1 counters on it. And if you look at the deck, we do run a decent number, right, of multicolored spells, but we don't run a ton, and just having a 4-mana 3/3, it just wasn't as good as it could have been. But it is something that if you have, you can go ahead and play if you don't have some of the more expensive cards in the deck. And of course, Vivian Reed. I mean, Vivian Reed is Vivian Reed, right? Like, she works really well with the deck because you can draw cards, functionally, draw cards with her, and then you can just destroy so many annoying things. But I wanted to play other cards, knowing that Vivian Reed is going to be in so many decks moving forward, and has been in so many decks previously. So that is why I'm playing the cards in Lizrog Ascendancy that I am. I really, really enjoyed making this video. It was fantastic. And once again, I'd like to thank my lovely patrons, especially Salamander, Zoraga, and especially Croft, because this is what he wanted to see. So big salutes to you, Croft. This deck, hopefully, is everything you wanted it to be. If you'd like to join them in supporting the channel, you'll find links to that in the description down below, along with links to my Discord server, where you can go to the Ravnica channel and at me and say, hey, what do you think of this deck? And if it's something that's super cool, then I might actually end up playing it on the channel. You can also just get general deck advice from people. You can play games with people. It's really cool. And my Aetherp account, where I host all of my deck lists, including my EDH decks. Or at least the ones I've put in there so far. I have a lot of EDH decks. And link to... Why do I feel like there's another thing? Oh, right. Tyler Walpole's art. His art is down there. I'm not going to shout him out every video, but his art is really cool. He's doing work on Vicario. It should be like actually fully done soon, and my gosh, it is perfect. Oh, I love what he's done with Vicario. It, like, everything is actually exactly how I wanted it to be, so it's really awesome. Once again, I do really hope that you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have, go ahead and tap that like button, add a subscription to your mana pool, cast one of those comments in the comment section down below, and then pass the turn and the video to some of your friends. And until next time, all will be one.